What's up, my rolling wrenchies? Welcome back to YouTube. This is my channel. We do cool scooter stuff. Today, we're gonna be doing, if you're not familiar with our GY6 swap, so if you have a Honda Ruckus and you wanna put a GY6 in your Honda Ruckus, we have a 20-minute install harness that looks like this. Looks like that. Well, we also have an EFI kit that we've been working on for over a year. That's not out yet. It'll be out in spring of 2019. Well, I'm also working on a plug-and-play EFI kit for the rolling wrench harness. Even easier to install. Here it is. These are all the components. And we're going to be putting them in, not this shit box, but this sweet Honda Ruckus. Yeah! Not only that, doing the 171cc big bore kit. But step one is to install this EFI kit into the stock 150 and see how that runs. Then we'll take it one step further with the 171. I do have a 171cc big bore kit install video. I'll link it down in the description. And I also have the DIY fuel injection kit that is out right now. That is not plug and play. That's 100% DIY. And I'll link that down in the description. Sometimes I forget that people that don't do this every day don't know the difference between certain things. So I think it's proper that I educate you guys. So we have two different EFIs. We have one that's a plug and play EFI. That's the one that's been in testing and beta testing and stuff for over a year. That's where all the hard work's come from. Then we have our DIY. Here's DIY. Put a line right here. Here's plug and play. So the DIY, this is what it looks like. It comes with a CDI box, all the wires. They haven't been lengthened or anything, but then see you've got extra wires. They're all labeled, everything's cool. Fuel pump, O2 sensor, and then all the little things to mount the cable. So there it is, that's DIY. That's what you get. Oh, and then a couple of extra things, tuning cords, stuff like that. So that's the DIY, completely very similar to this as far as looks, but there is a huge difference because this ECU has no tune in it. It requires your tuning knowledge to tune this sucker and advance the timing or retard the timing or make this run in your engine. That's what the DIY is, which is great if you know how to do all that stuff. Most people don't. So this is where all the hard works come from. Here is our plug and play rolling wrench harness. This is where all the hard works come from. So unlike that one, all the wires have been lengthened, shortened to make it a plug and play application, and connectors installed professionally, everything, unlike the other one. And then on top of that, no computer necessary. For that one, you need a laptop. You should probably have a really good knowledge on how to do that. That's the number one key. Here, it's all adjusted with the hand tuner. Okay, no computer needed. I've spent over a year and over 20 beta testers to get this ECU fitted with the right tune. That's where all the hard works come from. In order to make that tuner work in that ECU, there had to be modifications done to the chip that is inside this. So, in a nutshell, this sucker is like the cream of the crop game changer. The idea is to make it completely simple for the GY6 engine. So this will be the first time I have done a kit where it's plug and play with the rolling wrench harness, 20-minute install harness there. That's the harness that, I'll explain that in just a minute, but this is directly going to plug into our stock harness. And this plug and play, everything tunes through here, no computer necessary. So that's that kit. Hopefully that gives you a better idea. Both kits are sweet. This one's much better. All right, now let's talk about wiring harness education. I'm going to tell you because I have tons of experience with this, and I would have never created my harness if I didn't think I could do something better. So here it goes. Here is our 20-minute install harness. This utilizes your stock Honda Ruckus harness. No pulling your old harness out or anything like that. I've got a whole video like that you can watch. Everything plugs right in, no cutting or splicing of any type. Literally 20 minutes, you'll be running your GY6 and your Honda Ruckus. Or you can go with a harness like this. Now, I'm not dogging anybody in their harnesses at all. I just know it's easier, that's it. Would you rather spend 20 minutes unplugging this harness into your stock Honda quality harness, or, most people aren't wiring guys, or going in and, you know, plugging in a bunch of stuff, running your harness. Oh, and by the way, if your complaint is the other harnesses look nicer, so you can buy this stuff on Amazon. You can cover your original harness. If you're looking at a brand new harness that has one of these, this is called the Ice Cube Relay, steer clear. Steer clear. If you watch some of my old wiring harness videos, there's a reason why my custom harness doesn't exist anymore. It all has to do with this guy. So I've failed in this department. That's why I've upgraded to the 20-minute install harness. So hopefully that clears up like some questions on harnesses. There is seriously a difference, and take caution when you're buying a harness or assembling your own harness. Just make sure you don't use one of these. That's my only, use whatever harness you want, but if you buy a harness that has this, get rid of it, use something different. That's like the #1 tip. Here is my GY6 swap harness. This is the original Honda Ruckus harness. It's got the starter solenoid here. You know, everything, this whole CDI coil combo plugs into the right hand control on the stock Ruckus. And there's the starter wire going back to the starter. And if you notice, the GY6 stator plugs directly in to the Honda Ruckus harness. No cutting, splicing of any sort. So I'm about to do this EFI kit. I need to remove some parts to get down to the gas tank, and then I'll remove the carburetor. Okay, no carburetor, no gas tank. Still got the original plug for the fuel pump, because remember, this is our stock harness still. I'm not gonna need this intake manifold either. Pull that off of there. Now I can install my throttle body. Pull the carburetor off. Put the throttle body on. Same exact procedure. Always make sure though that this O-ring is on, which it is. So here we've got the throttle body on there. It's a fuel injector here. You know, we've got an extra, the map sensor and throttle position sensor port. Now to drain the gas tank. Alright, well, yesterday I called it because I couldn't open this gas cap. I thought it was the wrong key. It wasn't like trying my hardest, because it's literally, this feels like it's the wrong key for this gas cap. But I learned that this key will actually work. It's just a pain in the butt. So that's the reason why I quit last night. We're just gonna change a gas cap out and proceed. This is a 90-degree we need to install into the gas tank, like right here. So I'm just gonna mark it. This is gonna require us to drill a hole in this gas tank. Like, the safest way to drill a hole in this gas tank without, you know, freaking out about the thing blowing up, I fill the gas tank completely full of water, and I keep water going through the gas tank. I'll leave it going for like 5 minutes before I even start, and then it's evacuating any fumes inside the gas tank. You do it on your own. Don't take my advice. You do however you think is the safe way. I'm not telling you the safe way. I'm taking no responsibility for you drilling a hole in your gas tank. But I will say, if you don't feel comfortable getting the hole in the gas tank, you can always send it to me. I'll do it for you. So we got the tank in this thing. Let's fill this sucker up. Let that go for a little while. I guess I should plug the hole, huh? Plug the drain. Alright, 27/64 drill bit in the drill. There's the hole. in order to get the last bit of water out of here, if you spray in WD-40, water dissolver 40, that will help. I'm just gonna pull this thing off like this, and this little O-ring. Get that off. So I gotta like get this in there. Not easy, unless you have one of these that comes with the kit. We're gonna fish this through, just like this, okay? And pop this valve stem through there. Now you still want to be careful. You don't want to just yank on it. It's a real soft, easy maneuver to pull it through like that. Gotta get the O-ring on there, like what I took off, and then the nut. So when it's all tightened down, it'll look just like this, you know, facing that way at a down angle like that. You can fine tune it once it's in. Alright, I can pull this guy off. I'm not gonna need that. This is the supplied hose with the filter. Gas tank's ready. Okay, so now the fuel pump. We're gonna mount it up on the side over here, because this right here, where it says in, that needs to be at the lowest point. The lowest point. So, we're gonna put that, I'm just gonna kind of mock it up where I want it. Something like that. Something like that. Yes. So that's perfect. I'm gonna angle it. Just kind of mocking things up right now. So that's perfect. So the kit will come with this strap to hold it in, but it's going to require you to drill a hole in the frame back here to mount that. You can do that if you want. You can zip tie, whatever you want. Me, I'm going to drill the hole in there. So I'll get that done real quick. Okay, now I'm just going to mock it up and mark where I'm drilling the hole. I could see it right back in there. Just make a little scratch mark. Okay. Alright, 1/4 inch drill bit. I changed the positioning at the last minute, so I'm doing it a lot lower down here. So I've got it as low as I can possibly go, and I've got it loose so I can kind of make the adjustments. But yeah, that's about where we needed it. Kind of like not straight against the frame, but a little bit of an angle. So I'm going to tighten this guy up. While we're down here, you've got the old fuel pump connector. Well, if you're running the GY6 harness from rolling wrench, you will definitely need this guy. This is what this video is all about anyway. And then we're just going to plug this in. Just like that. Or zip tie it, or however you want to do it, so it's not hanging or in the way. The return line, we can put this little hose on there. Don't forget your hose clamp. Just like that. This thing moves just a little bit anyway. This line here is going to get plugged in down at the very, very bottom. Don't forget your hose clamp, of course. This one here is going to the return, the very middle one. So, get this thing dialed in. This top hose, it's kind of hard to put on. Okay, that is for your throttle body. And just slide your hose clamp down over it. So our hoses are done. The end of this other end of the hose is going to get ran up, and it's probably going to need to be trimmed too to your throttle body. Don't forget to plug in your fuel sensor. Here's the last hose ran up, and it needs to be trimmed a little bit. It'll always be a little long. You cut that, and then you're going to slide, you know, your hose clamp over. But I'm not going to do that right now. What we need to do is this throttle cable needs to adapt to this throttle body. If you notice, well, first of all, in the kit, you'll get this, a NARP, like that, and one of these. There's basically two ways to do this. The other way is we can drill a hole right through there so that this cable will fit. That's what I'm going to do. This is the alternative way to do this. The cable's going to go into this little slot like this, and you swing it around just like this. I'm going to cut this rubber boot off because that's going to be nothing but trouble. If you want to keep that, then you're going to do the alternative way. Now just tighten down your throttle cable. So here's our throttle tube. You notice that there's tons of play here before it actually starts. So you're going to want to loosen the 8mm, pull it out. You got to get rid of that free play. If you max this out, which see I've already maxed it out, you can always resort to this one. You got a little bit of threads there as well. Honestly, the best way is to use the NARP that's supplied. But see, I can spin this thing around. You got to make sure the cable's not binding up. But I could spin it around like this and get some of the slack out. There we go. And then I could crank that down, get this thing screwed back in. You want like 2 or 3 millimeters of free play, just like that. That's perfect. But when you start it, you want to make sure you turn it from the left to the right, the handlebars, and it's not binding up or revving up in any way. Don't forget to crank the lock nuts down. Like I've already tightened this one up, and you know, like you got to tighten these two together once you've got that dialed in for sure. So do that. Okay, now we can install this hose. That's about right. I'll just cut a section off that. Okay, get your hose clamp on there so the sucker doesn't come off. Rolling wrench ECU, beautiful wires, a lot of pride in this project here. Pull the tape off the back, and of course clean this, which I've already done. You're probably going to have a metal piece. You can use that, put it right onto the metal. Instead, there's no metal piece, so I'll put that underneath there, just like that. We've got all these wires, so I'll start with the power wire here. Here's your choke, original choke cable. This power wire plugs right in, just like that. And this right here, the one with 6 wires in it, plugs. This is coming off your throttle body. So that's going to plug it right in just like this. Real easy. You still have this one. So you're going to unplug your original stator. Let me do that really quick. So this is the stator plug. I've just unplugged it. Now, in line, remember this is the one with the 2 wires going into it. You're going to plug that one into there, just like that. And this one into there, just like that. Now the fuel pump connector, run it down. There's our fuel pump right here. Let's connect those together. Here's our fuel injector connector, and here is our rolling wrench EFI tuner. Follow the wires all the way to the end, and you'll find these 3 wires right here. This is off of the ECU, and then you're just going to plug that in, just like that. Now this one will plug in down here. So we are in a little bit of a pickle because this injector plug will not plug in because the frame's in the way. Unfortunately, we're going to have to unscrew this, plug it in. This is going to be a scenario that you run into depending on your mount. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Unscrew the fuel injector. Okay. Pull the fuel injector. Now we can plug that in and then reinstall it without any issues. Alright, see how close that is now? It's nearly touching. But the motor is at its highest point. If you're going to hit bumps, the motor is actually going to go down. So that should not be a problem, and it's got a little dampening. But we have one more ground wire that needs to be attached, and we'll attach that with our other ground. You notice there's two wires coming out of here. This is the temperature sensor and this is the ground. Those are going to go onto the head. So here is our GY6 engine, so you're familiar. And here is the 8mm bolt that I'm going to loosen, and then we're going to install right on the top of that. Make sure that it's a nice clean surface, not painted. You might have to grind some paint off. So here's all the grounds. You've got the temperature sensor wire. Between there you have the hand tuner ground, and behind there you have the ECU ground. So here it is. We've got our EFI ECU back there. All the wires running down. Of course you can clean these up. And then you've got this wire that runs to your tuner. You could put this wherever you want. It's one of those things that you're going to use this, you know, to tune, and when you're done, you'll just forget about it. You can tuck it away, but you can't unplug it. It needs to be in the system. Now for the other fun part. It's all fun. Add gas, but do it slowly, because if you have a leak, then you can fix it quick. It's always smart to fill it to the very top to make sure that the return line hose isn't leaking. I don't see any leaks, but let me show you something here. It's pretty important that your hose isn't like up like this. Then you've got your fuel hose higher than the tank, so that hose has to be down as far as possible. Gas cap on. I'm going to leave all this off for now just for testing. So I'm going to turn the key on, and it's very important that I have gas come up all the way up this line. Let me zoom in. So turn it on. It's very important to prime the lines, so you're going to have to do that a couple times. And you might have to get the air bubbles out down here. So I'm on like my 10th key cycle. So here it's starting to come up. See that? Very, very important. You don't want to run the pump without it being primed. All right, let's do this. So when I start this bike for the first time, it might not start up right away because it needs to be tuned, and or more likely the atmospheric pressure needs to be dialed in. There's a map sensor inside the throttle body that will be calibrated, but it takes about 15 minutes for it to notice that. So I'm going to turn the key on, let the fuel pump cycle. I shouldn't have to give it any gas. I did have to give it some gas. In a perfect world, you don't have to do that. I'm trying to rev it. So we want to let it, do its thing for like 15 minutes. You should really be riding it around during that time. But I'm not going to do that or tune it with the hand tuner that comes with the kit until tomorrow when I do the 170cc kit. And then you'll learn about this EFI hand controller that can be adjusted for any big board kit. It's pretty sweet. So, see you tomorrow.